And I remember one time he said something so brilliant that the next kid who was supposed to speak said, I'm supposed to follow that? And that guy went on to become a doctor, but Mr. Kuchar decided to stay here and share his wisdom with us. And so I give you Mr. David Kuchar.
Progress report, Spencer. Guys, good morning. Good morning, Saints. Can you hear me okay? I got a trim for the big day. It did not take long. I want to thank you for being here. It is an absolute honor. It's a privilege, and most importantly, it is a joy to be with you all today. It really is. I had to chuckle during the first Tom Talk when we were sharing what drives us. 5 seconds into Mr. Holtz's, I saw the vehicle, like, oh, he's got my opening joke. And while I never had the privilege of having Mr. Holtz as a teacher, I still feel like I just got schooled by him as well. I want to thank him, and I also want to thank Mrs. Verde for sharing their truth and beauty with us over the last 2 Tom Talks as well. This is what I drive. It's a 2017 Chevy Cruze. I'm actually saving up for a down payment on an X-Wing, so that in a few years it'll be in the parking lot. I'd love to tell you that it had just to do with like reliable like safety and track records and mileage and all that good stuff. It kind of resembles a stormtrooper. Can I explain? Subliminal. Those of you I've had before, this is not the car. If you remember the chipmunk, if you remember the deer, if you remember the bat, this is not that car. And I want to be clear, I have had nothing to do with the squirrels on Dover Point. That was not me. A car that resembles a stormtrooper couldn't possibly hit anything. I've actually got a little story about my car. Some of you might have seen me wandering behind the school a few weeks ago. I got in my vehicle to leave, and I turned on the engine, and I'm leaving the school lot, and all of a sudden, there is this shrieking sound. It sounded like something really, really bad was happening to like a neighborhood cat. And I felt responsible for this. And the more I went around the school, the worse it got. Did anyone remember that day? Did anyone remember the screeching? It was horrific. And it's so embarrassing. It's like, what is going on here? So I eventually had to pull over, and I had to call a tow truck. Many of you will discover, if you haven't already, the joys of calling a tow truck. Usually it's just when you injure your foot, but sometimes you need it for your car as well. So the tow truck comes by, they bring it over to the shop. Some of you have just gotten there. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I knew you would. So we get to the auto body, and they're looking at it, and again, everything, I was kind of surprised that everything in the car is working except for this horrific screeching noise. Like, oh, this is going to be expensive. Like, usually, the louder the noise, the more expensive the repair. You will know the joys of car, ownership someday. And so I went back the next day, and they said, well, we found the problem, and here it is. So I'm imagining, like, oh, is it like a brake pad is loose and all this stuff? I brought a prop today. You're going to have trouble seeing it. This little pebble, I kept it for 3 weeks now, just for today, was the cause of all of that noise and screeching and what was wrong with my car. This little teeny tiny pebble that looks relatively insignificant and yet was causing great distress in the life of my car. And actually this pebble is going to be part of the theme for today. The pebbles we have in our own lives. It's a joy to kind of share with you a little bit about some of my favorite teachers, some of my favorite people. And those of you who have known me for some time, it always starts with family. This is my dad. And I had a lot of fun going through photos, like which ones do I want to share with you guys today? My dad is a train guy. Ever since he was a little kid, I heard stories about him running around Dover. He'd help his dad renovate homes. Anytime there was a train that went by, he'd run out to greet it and wave, hopefully get folks to make the sound, the train whistle. There's a story in Dover, they used to throw frozen turkeys off of trains. My dad got one Thanksgiving. Like train operators were like superheroes for my dad. He's the only guy I've ever known that when a train gate went down, he was excited to stop and just watch the train go by. Everyone else, not so much, but trains are his thing. If you look carefully, what's really neat, a couple fun things about my dad. In public, he never wore anything but a dress shirt. Even when he renovated homes, he was always in a dress shirt. The only time I saw him in public without one was in a Star Wars t-shirt at the premiere of The Force Awakens in 2015. That's it. If you check out his sideburns, I have never seen my father without his sideburns. My brother grew them out in high school. My brother actually got a detention for them here at St. Thomas. He kept the detention. It was that precious. And I will admit, I don't know if you've noticed, part of what drives me, this is no kidding, this is a little facial hair memorial for my dad. I honestly didn't think I would ever love long sideburns, but they're starting to grow on me. So this is for my dad. I love this photo. My parents were married for over 44 years. 44 years. This is the last picture of them together. This was on my mom's birthday. My dad had a stroke. I know a number of you guys have already heard that. So we got them the flowers, and I just love the looks on their faces. This lovely, lovely couple that I've known since Sadea was born, who have taught me a ton, who still teach me a ton. One who's here and one who's not. The stroke in many ways was a pebble, a significant pebble. Sometimes that little pebble feels like a boulder, like in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indy running away from the boulder. The stroke was one of those pebbles. And my dad, who used to love doing so many things, he was brilliant with computers, loved renovating homes. He was relearning how to walk. I remember being struck watching my father learn how to walk again. He was there when I took my first steps, learning how to feed himself. He really struggled with language. One of the most beautiful sights my brother and I had of my mom was almost every day for months. She would be working. They have all these apps to help teach language for people who struggle with aphasia. And my dad would get frustrated, and my mom was his coach and his cheerleader, and just a beautiful image. If you want to know what love looks like, I just have that indelible image in my head for all the love shown from my mom to help my dad get better. Stroke was a team effort. In many ways, Mom took over a lot of the responsibilities Dad was doing. My brother and I were kind of the entertainers. My brother made the mac and cheese, the kielbasa, and stuff like, Dad, you want any of this? Yeah. It'd usually be like one or two words. Yeah. One of my greatest joys was Dad couldn't operate like the remote after and such. All these movies and shows, most of which were sci-fi, he introduced me to. I was 4 when I saw Star Wars, not in theaters. My earliest memory with my dad is watching Star Wars, Darth Vader entering the rebel ship at the beginning. And I can still remember at age 4 him making a joke about, reminds me of my old boss. One of those like fun memories I still have of my dad bringing up this movie. I got to show him all these movies and shows that he showed me growing up. I knew what he enjoyed, I knew what he liked. Some of them he remembered, some of them he didn't, so he was able to see them sort of again for the first time. And in one of those weird sort of circles of life, I mentioned Star Wars was the first movie. The last movie I saw with my father in theaters was Star Wars Rogue One. Everything sort of has chapters in Star Wars. And if you remember the end of the movie, I know it's kind of a spoiler alert, we're going on a couple years, earmuffs if you don't. It ends at the beginning of Star Wars. And I found that amazing, that the chapter I began with my father kind of came full circle at the end of Rogue One as well. So total team effort. And to this day, it's one of these things that I just find so profound. Even when thinking about this talk, I showed you the first picture of my dad. I have heard more train whistles than you would believe in the past year and a half. It is the funniest thing. Sometimes when I'm talking to my dad at the cemetery, sometimes just thinking about him in a walk, trains. So it's just one of those things, it's a sound that fills me with joy. And this wonderful lady here is my mom, as I already mentioned. I was trying to find like a photo that encapsulates all these wonderful people. This is my mom in her natural habitat. She is a die-hard Sox fan. There is a picture of Fenway Park above the mantle. She calls her brother, who's a Yankee fan, after every loss. We are absolutely a die-hard family. This lady lives her life for others. She is honestly one of the greatest people I know. We had a really tough Thanksgiving last year with a couple people missing at the table. And my mom sort of turns what's not great into something beautiful. She loves to bake. She made over a dozen pies just to give them away last year. We visit some various homes and such and drop them off. She is the personification of goodness. You know, the kind of person that the world is better off the more you have. I hope you know lots of people who kind of fit that description. One of our favorite things, we've been walking a lot this year. Last year was a really rough year, so we've been walking together. And I got to tell you guys, as you get older, you discover simple joys. Nothing against like Snapchat streaks and all these wonderful things. Just walking with your mom, kicking a crab apple down the road, you know, just seeing how far you can kick things. It's the simple things that really stick with you. You know, as you get older, you start to prioritize what's worth my time and what's not. And I absolutely cherish these walks. I mentioned a pebble. Another pebble that appeared this July. My mom was diagnosed with cancer. This was one of those things where kind of the joke was, 2018, this is going to be our year. It's going to be a good year. Maybe 2019. She's starting chemo today, actually. This was something where I was checking with her. I said, Mom, is it okay if I step out for a little bit? She said, oh, yeah, I'll be fine. You know, typical mom, like, I'll be fine. It's one of those things where, if I'm being totally honest, I'm scared. You know, I don't know what to expect. But I also know I'm going to be grateful for those times when she's feeling well enough to walk, when she's well enough to eat. My cooking, that'll make me really grateful. I'm already grateful for her strength. I mean, for all the things cancer does. I'm already one of those people, like, cancer has affected so many people we care about in here. Other family members, colleagues, students, just so many people we care about. Is a word I can't wait. Someday we have trouble remembering what it was called. You know, I really look forward to that day. Forgive me, a little parched. We went on a road trip this weekend. This was kind of a gift. I asked Mom with her chemo starting this week, I said, what do you want to do? And so we were kicking around some ideas. And if you know anything about my family, it's about, you know, having a sweet tooth. She mentioned a piece of chocolate cake, chocolate hazelnut cake. And it's not one you can buy at like Hannaford or Shaw's or something. This one happens to be in Washington, D.C. So it was sort of one of those things where we did the math. Like, okay, a little over 500 miles. Mom, if you want cake, we're having cake this weekend. So pictures that bring me joy. Look at that face. You can tell she wanted the picture to be over really, really quick because like the cake was out and ready to go. This is something that is forever, her joy is going to be forever etched in my heart from this road trip. We were able to catch a ball game. We were able to do all kinds of wonderful things. Just a mother-son road trip before things got tough. This is a face that I will never, ever forget for as long as I live. I also told her that she can deal with it. She can tackle this. She raised my brother and I. She raised 2 boys, so cancer's in for one heck of a fight. Speaking of boys, best gift I ever got. And again, there was a time when I might have picked something, you know, digital or something electronic or even a movie. My little brother Joe, best gift I ever got. My little big brother, 3 years younger than me, constantly being asked to play football at St. Thomas. I mentioned the occasional detention, so on and so forth. But an absolute gift. My best friend, in many ways, my rock, my anchor, my constant. He's the kind of guy, just to tell you a couple fun things, he couldn't ignore a claw machine. One of my favorite quirks about my brother, you know those $1, like the claw doesn't work right? And I gotta tell you, the man succeeded more times than he failed. He'd get one by the toe, or he'd get one by the tag. I still don't know how he does it. He was a rigger at the shipyard. They moved things from place to place, and he loved his Dodge Charger. I blame the Fast and Furious movies for that. He said, no, that's garbage. I said, no, you love the Dodge Charger. It's his Batmobile. He called it his Batmobile. He drove it like one, too. I like this photo because it's the least reflective of my brother. It was really tough to find a photo like this. Here's a more accurate representation of my brother. Hearing that reaction gives me joy. We would just do these random trips to Walmart, you know, a night at Taco Bell. Nothing special, and yet it was, you know. My brother had the ability to just sort of light up the room. I mean, just one of those things when he was there, you knew it. You know, he's always been about joy. You know, the kind of person you could call at 3 in the morning if you needed something. When I had to move, you know, out of a college dorm room, he would take care of these things. Part of that joy, I love this photo when I think about what drives me. I lost my brother shortly after my dad last year, not even a month after the fact. I think of my brother all the time. I can still hear him. I can hear him, you know, giving me heck over sharing this with you even. You know, oh, come on, really? Those pictures? You know, Toys for Tots is something near and dear to us. Every Black Friday, we had saved money. We recruit family members. We bought a bunch of toys. We've been doing this for years. This is something I've been able to recruit his wife into doing, and other family members. My brother was always about joy. His other family, my brother I mentioned was a shipyard. I love this photo. The guys love him. One of the strengths I really needed on the day of his funeral, I still remember the snow and not being able, I remember a snowbank